again?
Friday.
I know, right? Welcome, everyone. It is Friday. Just like my girl Ali said, it's Friday. Listen, let's talk about popular. Well, you know what? Let's not. I called it mistakes, but in our manifestation technique, remember always that we manifest all day, every single day. And what we are manifesting are the persistent thoughts from yesterday, the day before, and the day before, and the day before, and the day before. You know, that's how it goes. Nothing stays in the past. We're consistently bringing things forward with us. And how do we do this? We do this with our memories. The moment we sit and reminisce, whether that memory be good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. This is the part we have to get past. It doesn't matter what that memory is. So long as that memory invokes a feeling within you, it triggers something within you, and you feel it, you'll experience it again. You'll relive it again in some way as a new experience, but not new. So if we can remember, what am I thinking? What state am I in? If you look at your behavior, if you look at your mood, you will be able to see what mental state you are in. And it catches us in our everyday lives. We keep thinking, oh, it's just in the big things. Oh, it's just in the little things. Things have no size, just the matter of the weight of importance or intensity that you give it. So, how do you feel about a thing when you think about it? It's an instantaneous reaction. I only break it out into three parts: thought, word, action. So you can see for yourself the domino cascade. Whatever thought or memory you are having day in and day out, and how do you catch it? Those memories, because they look like they don't influence us. But I told you, your mood influences your behavior, which is your experience, which is your manifestation. So we pay attention. What state are we in? If you can't name it right away, what's your behavior? See? When you catch yourself saying things like, oh my God, why does that happen to me all the time? That's your hidden habit. That's the thing that's running in the background that's got you by the shirt and curlies. That's the thing that you can't see right away, right? So when you pay attention to your own self, it is called self observation. When you look at yourself and what you're dealing with and what you're going through, that is not your cue to judge. No, that is your cue to observe and say, whoa, is this good enough for me? Not, do I deserve something better? Is it good enough for you? The minute you start saying things like, well, do I deserve it? Oh, we're casting judgment. Do you want something different? Period. You want something, and we always want something better. I love that question from the lecture last night when the lady asked Neville, well, how do you know what's best for you? Do you choose what's best for you? He goes, don't look at it as best or worse. Do you want it? Because if you get it and you change your mind, you can give it away. Give it away now, right? You can give it away if it is not what you thought it was. How do you know if it's best or worse for you if you know what I mean? You've never interacted with it. So that's why he says your focus, what do you want? Create that. So when we are deliberately, because we already manifest, and we manifest, as Neville calls it, unwittingly, which means we just do it on autopilot and we don't know that's what we're doing. But the key is to be deliberate about what it is you are doing. We call it being intentional, which means we answer the question always first and foremost based upon your self observation. When you are looking at yourself, you can feel if there's something just not quite right. And you say, you know what? I would prefer something different. He's talking about the law of polarity there because you can clearly see where you are and what you're doing. And when you, because remember, you do not ignore things, they don't go away because you ignore them. He says things wither and die for want of attention. Ignoring and attention, not quite the same. If you're ignoring, you're pretending something doesn't happen, but your attention is still on it because it bothers you. Your attention is fully engaged there. He's telling you to detach yourself from that situation that's bothering you and put it where you want to be, which is polarity, from where you are going towards where you want to be. You have to move yourself mentally, which means you have to put your attention on the thing that is better. Only you know if it's better, because how does it feel? And I remember yesterday someone said, feeling is the secret, is false, right? Just to get you to click on it. When we have a persistent thought, it feels a particular way to you because you and I are inside bodies. So in order to recognize what's happening, the body has to correspond to that thought. So you feel something. And what we've done is we have a thought and we associate it with a feeling. If I say to you, if I use a particular word, mother, but that depends what your relationship is with your mother, you're going to feel something. If I say trauma, oh, you're going to feel something depending on what you've experienced. We have associated words with a sensation in the body. And now we can say, well, I know what this thing feels like. So that now you don't have to have the word anymore. You just have to go out into the world and get something that looks similar. And your body says, that's the same thing because you felt it before and you know it. So we know a thing because we've heard it incessantly or we've experienced it incessantly. That's how come you know it. So when you know a thing, you act accordingly. So that's why Neville says it's not feeling as in emotion, it is feeling as in knowing. But you know what you know based upon the experience that you've had. That's how come you can say, well, I know this or I know that. You've had an experience and now you have associated that thought, word, or action with a feeling. So that if I just say a word, a feeling is triggered because you say, well, I know that. So he says to you, when you make a claim, remember, a claim is to assert that something is true without providing evidence or proof. You say that's what it is. You claim it as it is. So he says, when you claim a thing, you have to know it. Because that's the feeling of knowing. So we know by practicing the correspondence between the thought and the body sensation. So if somebody says to me, oh my God, I'm so anxious, how do they know what anxiety feels like? Because they've experienced it how many times? So that now you don't even have to say anxiety. They don't even think of the word anxiety. They just think of a thing that is associated with anxiety, and they know anxiety when they feel it. So that when they claim, I can't even leave my house, my chest gets so tight, they're claiming they can't leave their house. Why are they claiming they can't leave their house? Because they know the feeling of anxiety and they know what they're going to experience when they leave, because they've experienced it so many times. So he's telling you the feeling doesn't have anything to do with the emotion of it. It has to do with the knowing of it, but we know a thing because we have experienced it, which makes us either bold in our claim or not so bold in our claim, right? It's the knowing of a thing. What do you know? But you only know it because you've experienced it. So this is why we take the time. How do you build your faith then? Because this is what it is. This is all what it comes down to. Faith comes by hearing. What is faith? What you know. Faith is what you know. It is what you know. And how do you know what you know? By experience, which will determine the type of claim that you feel confident in making. So this is why people would tend to do robotic affirmations, because they just want to get it into their subconscious mind. Repetition works to program the self, yes. But the fastest way is to impress, meaning brand something as an image or a sensation onto the subconscious mind like that. So, what's the technique for manifestation? The technique for manifestation is to become aware of what you want to bring into your life. Be intentional. That's the technique, because we are already manifesting. So, to be intentional or deliberate about your manifestation is to observe the self, as Neville says. So, see what it is that you want. And most of the time, we see what it is that we're lacking first, because that's the way it is. The nature, we see what we don't have first. We feel the presence of a void. There's a reason for that, because voids should not be there. So the moment you see the void, it feels a particular way. It feels like lack. That's the void. Oh my God, I don't have that. So if you don't have something, what is it that you want? And the moment you say, okay, I want this, remember Neville says to say it like this: I have assumed that I have it. I am continuing to assume that I have it until it appears. That's it. So when you recognize what it is that you want, claim it. And when you claim it, it's going to make you feel a particular way. It's going to tell you whether you know that thing to be true or if you know that thing is false. Whatever you say, when you claim it. How do you get yourself from feeling like, I don't quite have that? I don't believe this is possible. Well, that usually comes because we've forgotten that we're the ones creating. We think most of the time that it's just random willy-nilly and we don't have control over that. You got to pray for everything you want. You got to, somebody has something you want, you got to ask and beg for it. We've been conditioned to think that way. But Neville says, observe the self, identify your aim. So what do you want? Name it, and then you claim it. So once you have laid claim to it, it's going to make you feel a particular way. You either believe what you've said or you doubt what you've said. If you doubt what you've said, examine that thing. Why do you feel that way? Well, you have to look at it. You can't ignore it. Look at it. Why do you doubt that? And we will normally see, well, I heard that's not possible. Well, I don't have all the tools. I don't have all the training. I don't have any money. What's keeping us from believing our claim? The excuses of what we do not have. It has nothing to do with what you think you have or what you know you have or don't have. The question is, when you name what it is that you want, you filled the void. Now you take yourself from wanting it to having it. What would you do if you had it? You would behave in a particular way. So now, when you start to see yourself behave in that particular way over and over and over again, you build your faith. Hmm? You take yourself from, oh my God, I don't, to, oh yes, this is exactly what it would feel like if I had it. And so you go back over and over and you relive the sensation of having it over and over until such time that you don't have to do that anymore. Your body says, we have it. You're doing the same thing in the opposite direction. Every time you go back and you replay what you don't have, you are strengthening that sensation. You're strengthening the claim, I don't have that. And every time you do it, you look at the evidence and you go, you see, I don't have it. The difference is that's in one direction. What direction do you actually want to be in? Point yourself there. And when you make that claim, pay attention to how it feels. And when you, because you're going to decide right there how it feels, it will either continue to feel like lacking and wanting and pining and hoping and wishing for, or you will say, yep, I'm at peace. I have that. So remember, to get ourselves from where we are to where we want to be, it is a mental movement, a movement of the mind. So to move in your mind, that's why Neville suggests to experience in imagination what you would experience in reality if you had what you want. How would it feel? How would you behave? And I tell you, it's always in the mundane things that we do. The way you brush your teeth, the way you drive, the way you walk, the way you talk, all has to do with how do you feel about that claim? What mental state are you in? You will act according to that. So he says, because it's easier to pay attention to your behavior. What are you doing throughout the day? If you are wanting to solidify the claim that I am financially secure, then if you catch yourself complaining, oh God, I'm so broke, I'm so this, look at the prices of this, look at that. Are you solidifying the claim that you are financially stable? Or are you solidifying the claim that you don't have enough? It is all within that mental conversation that you solidify your claim in whichever direction. So when you observe yourself, what are you saying to yourself? And that's why I say it's always in the mundane. You're driving. When you're driving, science tells us we are in theta brainwaves, a state, a hypnotic state. That's why you can get from point A to B if you take that route all the time, and you get there and you're like, oh snap. How'd I get here so fast? I didn't even see things pass by. You were in a state. When you are in the shower, it's the same thing. You are in theta. This is why sometimes if you're in the shower, ask a question and you'll get the answer faster. Because you're right at the subconscious, because you're doing something mundane. You don't have to think about it. So you're not using your analytical mind. You're simply using the subconscious mind because it's autopilot. So the key is to observe yourself at all times so that when you are in autopilot, you begin to see where the snares are that you set for yourself mentally. So this is why when people can say, well, I've been wanting that for a long time and nothing has changed. Manifestation doesn't work. And I'm like, did you hear yourself? You've been wanting it for a long time. We don't intentionally manifest abundance from constantly recognizing what we don't have. So in order to solidify the claim of what you do have, Neville suggests, what would it be like if you had it? How would you behave? How would you speak? How would people speak to you? That's what you do. Because now, every time you return to that, you are solidifying it. Where are you solidifying it? Mentally. Because then you go out into the world, that inner conversation follows you. My sheep know my voice, which is your thoughts. They follow you because they know. They know who you are and they know what you're thinking. So you have to see the evidence of what you're thinking. That's how come your sheep know your voice. As within, so without, so shall your experience be. So observe yourself. If you like it, well, then keep it, you know? But if you want something more, give it to yourself. How do you give it to yourself? By experiencing in imagination what you would experience in reality if you had it. Just simply begin to toy with it. Go through all of the scenarios that you can come up with. We do it when we do the worst case scenarios, do we not? Oh my God, what am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do if that happens? Oh no, what if this happens? What if that? You see, we are already doing it. All he's telling you to do is to polarize yourself in the opposite direction, which is to point yourself and have conversations confirming that you have what you want. And to confirm it, what would it be like if you had it? Oh my God, I would do this, I would do that. And the more you do it, you begin to get a sensation, a corresponding feeling in your body. Because what you're actually doing physiologically, you're training your body to recognize the feeling of having. Just like you can teach your body to recognize the feeling of lack. The body always has to correspond. This is what it comes down to, right? Ali's gonna make me sing in here this morning. What a day for a daydream, right? What? That's it. But you see, when we daydream with intention. I'm gonna say that to you again. When we daydream with intention, which means what? When you daydream and you feel so at peace, you feel at one with everything. You feel like this is the most beautiful thing. Aha. Capture that feeling. You know how we say, oh my God, if I could just bottle the sunshine, I'd give it to you. Yes, bottle that feeling and go back and open it and relive the fragrance of it. So that every time you relive the fragrance of the beauty of that daydream, you are telling yourself, yes, this is what I want. And because the body can feel the sensation of having it, because that's what it tells you. It tells you you have what you want by its feeling. So now you've moved yourself from, oh, I really gotta have it. You move yourself from wanting into having. And the more you return to the sensation of having, your body responds. How does the body respond? The body responds by way of your hormonal makeup. Oh, Angela, are you serious? Yes. You see, we seem to think that a hormonal imbalance is some kind of random thing. It is not. The hormonal imbalance is an absolute mirror of your internal behavior. For instance, in traditional Chinese medicine, when you worry, it affects the spleen. Now, please don't panic. When I say it affects the spleen, you're not supposed to grab your left side and go, oh my God, no, my spleen. No. The spleen is affected by excessive worry. But what does the spleen do? It takes food and air and it creates what? Blood and energy for you to use, the fuel that you need. This is why spleen and stomach are at the core of your health. Spleen and stomach right there at the core, because that's where you get your blood and your energy from. But if you incessantly worry, you clog the spleen up. It's like a sponge. You clog it up. It becomes oversaturated. And when it becomes oversaturated with excessive worry, it can no longer perform its task of holding things up in the air. That's its job. It holds things up. And I'm going to be very literal with you when I say it holds things up. If you're dealing with hemorrhoids, what are hemorrhoids? The vessels in the anus begin to hang out. Yeah, they dangle. It's painful, right? Then what happens from there? Low blood supply. You're foggy in the brain. You're tired. You're bloated. But you see, those are things that are effects. They are effects. They are not the cause. What is the cause? Your incessant worry. But you can't see that that's what you're doing, incessantly worrying. You can't see it. Why not? Because it's your habit that you've taught yourself to do. That's why. So then you got all these health problems and you go to the doctor and you say, Doc, I'm in a bad way. You got to help me out. Then it all has to do with your thoughts. Same for anger. Or if you don't express your anger, but you repress or suppress it, now you deal with liver. The liver moves the energy up, down, left, and right inside the body. And it sends blood up to the heart. So now we begin to affect the heart's way. We get things like palpitations, meaning you can feel your heart beating. You're not supposed to feel your heart beating. It's beating and you know it is because you're alive. But you see the anger and the rage that we keep and we hold on to it. We think it doesn't affect us because we can't see it. But then what happens? You start to do something to cope with that anger, whether it be smoking, drinking, whatever it is. Next thing the doctor says, well, it appears you've got high liver enzymes. You got a fatty liver. It did not randomly appear. It appears because the body must correspond to your inner conversations. That's what it's doing. So don't think for a moment that your invisible thoughts. The invisible always becomes visible, especially when it moves you. That's the point right there. This is why you observe yourself. What are you doing and saying to yourself incessantly? Those are the experiences you will manifest in your life. So don't think that you can hide and buy land, but you can't hide and work it. That's what they say in Barbados. You can hide and have those thoughts, but there will be a reckoning in your body because it has to. Where else is it going to go? As within, so without. We must show the evidence of our inner thoughts. Right? So today, what is the formula? And I don't even like calling it a formula. What is the nature of man? The nature of man is to create. We create mentally. And when we create something in our minds and we see it and we interact with it in our minds, it moves us. It moves us because that's what causes us to act. The thought moves you to speak and the speech moves you to behave. That's just the nature of man. So now, in order to quote unquote hack the nature of man, because we like fancy words, the way to hack it is to be intentional, to be deliberate, because you're going to think anyway, because that is the nature. We must think. That's the nature of the brain. It thinks, it computes. So be deliberate. What do you want it to think about? Well, give it something to think about. Bonnie Raitt, let's give them something to talk about, right? Give your brain something to think about instead of allowing it to think willy-nilly, because that's what we've always done. The undisciplined mind will have you going off the rails every day. But to discipline the mind simply means give it a singular thought, and every time it should wander from that singular thought, bring it back. Of course, it fights you at first because, it fights you at first because that's what it's going to do. If you want to give it a personality, calling it a wandering mind. But if you persist in putting it back where you want it to be, you say, okay, we're going to think about the letter A today. Right now, in this 5 minutes, we're going to think about the letter A. And it starts going, yeah, but B is more important than A, but C is more important than B. You say, no, I get it. A. Over and over and over again until such time you say, we're thinking about the letter A, and it goes, ooh, I know what A is. And it will latch on to A because you've disciplined it. You have taught it what to do. You are training it up in the way it should go, and it won't depart from it. That's what you're doing. That is how we discipline the mind. So that now, when you say, you know what, I want to feel like this. Well, what would help you feel like that? An image, a word, something that triggers you into that feeling. That's the shortcut to trigger yourself into a particular feeling by using either an image, a word, or a behavior. And condition yourself to practice. This is how we're going to feel. Every time I say this, we're going to feel like this. And if your body says, I don't want to, you say, I get it, but no, this is what we're doing. The reason you persist is because the thing persisted in is the thing you experience. So be deliberate about what you think, because then that influences deliberate speech, and the deliberate speech influences deliberate behavior, which means you are always in control of your own mind. It's much easier to be in control of oneself than to give away that control to something or someone else, because then you're at their mercy because you don't know. You see how fickle humanity is? One day we like you, the next day we don't. But the consistent thing is you. So be consistent. And you are already consistent. How do you know? Because you keep doing the same thing every time, the same way. You are already consistent because that is our nature. Our nature is to be consistent. So then, if you know your nature is to be consistent, choose the behavior you want to be consistent with. This is what leading a life that is deliberate looks like. You know your nature. Every man has the same nature. We are creatures of habit. We do the same thing the same way every time. That's what we do. That's our nature. So if you know that we do the same thing the same way every time, choose what you want to do. And then your life will match the choices mentally that you make. Don't just get up and say, well, I want to manifest my best life, and you don't want to discipline yourself to put your mind in the right place so that it remains there. But we say, well, I can't sit still. Says who? Oh, but Angela, I got ADHD. You see what I'm saying? Listen, don't come for me, okay? When I say what I say. I am telling you, mind over matter, because mind creates matter. So if you continually say, I have this weakness, you will continue to have the weakness because you cannot be made a liar of. It just simply requires more discipline. Oh, but Angela, you're insensitive right now. What do you mean it just requires more discipline? You don't have what I have. I'm not belittling what you say you have. I'm showing you how to apply the law to change what you have. And how would you know if you don't apply it? If you don't stop being a hearer of the word and become a doer of the word? Listen, you got to know yourself. If you know you can give 10 minutes of straight focus, then give 10 minutes of straight focus. And then tomorrow add 5 minutes. It's all in the discipline. It's all in the habit. Listen, I could start spewing out words that I've never heard in my life. Every time I turn around, there's a new word for what? A mental issue. There are only ever going to be mental issues because the universe is mental. Everything starts in the mind. Your mind is not broken. It's just undisciplined. What do they tell you? That we can only have the attention span of 8 seconds because we've conditioned ourselves for 8 seconds. Back in the day, people didn't have TVs and all this overstimulation where we run around. Ooh, take this hit. Ooh, this one. Yeah. Where do we take the time now to just sit? And the moment I say just sit there, like, oh, I can't. I got to scratch. Well, scratch for a minute then, but come back and sit. Over and over and over again. Dr. Joe Dispenza says it all the time. He says, you just got to get through that first one. And it gets easier after that. But we see the memes all the time of the two guys with the pickaxes, and they're picking away at the dirt. And one guy is really, really close to the diamonds. All he has to do is hit it one more time, and he's rich, bitch, right? He's just rich. But he stops. That's what we do. Oh, that's not working. It is already working in your life. It's just working in your life on autopilot. But become deliberate about it, which means give your mind the thing to think about. Give your mind the thing to think about. How do you feel when you think about it? That'll tell you. But you see, one way we can circumvent that whole thing is to recognize what we've been given. And when we recognize what we've been given, which is the power to change our lives, well, that's the pep in your step. You don't have to say, well, what does joy feel like? Why? Because you personify joy. Why would you personify joy? Because you can look at your life and go, you know what? I have the capacity to change. This is me. I can do this. And you become so lit up with it. You don't have to go out there and look for a feeling because you are the feeling. I got a feeling. You don't have to go and look for it. You are it. Because why? You look at it and you say, look at what I've been given. I have the power to change. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I am capable of doing. Let me get these thoughts in line. Because remember, we're all like little Bo Peep. Man, get your sheep, which is your thoughts, in order. You got a rod and you got a staff. Hook those bad boys and bring them back into the fold. Those wayward thoughts. And be deliberate about what you think. You're going to start to see the difference, you know. You will actually start to see the difference in your body. You'll have more physiological energy, more pep in your step. Why? Because the mind has not been pulled in every which way. The mind is singularly focused on something, thereby building its power and its strength. You weaken it when you've got this and that and that and that and that. So many irons in the fire. Let me take a moment to welcome everyone into the space this morning. Who's on Twitter this morning? Oh, Lord have mercy. Twitter be bumping today. Bobakar Diallo, I see you. Uh-oh. I don't know if I want to say that. Hello, fella. Todd, I see you. I see you. I just read your description. I think I know who you are, sweetie. I think I know who you are. Driving tea, I see you. Um, and then Black Women Exclusive, I see you. Welcome to the space. I've never said that name before. So welcome to the space. Um, bear with me, Todd. Um, that's everybody on Twitter. It's awesome to see you all this morning. YouTube and Facebook, who's here? Hey, Cyber. Jeff is here. Jeff has a chicken in the chat. Sonia, the better man. One, welcome. It is great to see all of you in the space this morning. Fan base, who's here? Oh, snap. Listen, I have not even been looking at the screen on fan base. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Who's here? Honey D, hello. God, I'm happy she's in the house. Dr. Accountability, well, hello. I have never said your name before, darling. Welcome to the space. Commander Daryl, hey, coach. That deal. It's good to see you. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, it's good to see you, Joaquin. You know, it's always good to see you, darling. Stephanie. Summer Rose, I see you. Ali, yes. Marquise, I see you. Hey, Flo Smiles. Hey, KZ. Well, hello, TJ. You're on Twitter. You just popped in. It's good to see you, too. So listen, let's go over that technique again because we are already doing the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. It's early, isn't it? It's early in the morning. But let's go back to the technique because we are already doing it because it is the nature of man to create. We have a thought. And whatever that thought is, I'm not talking about, oh, look, there's one thought. Oh, Lord, somebody's back. We have a thought, but it is the persistent ones I'm talking about, the ones you have over and over and over again. Same way every time. The persistent thought leads us to persistent speech, which leads to a persistent behavior. That is the nature of man. That is how we manifest. Because we must always show the evidence of what we hold within ourselves. AKA, we must, yes, reap what we have sown. So to be deliberate, identify. Once you observe yourself, identify your aim, identify the thing you want to become because you are presently unhappy with the thing you currently are. Identify the thing you want to become. And when you identify what you want to become, it will have a particular accompanying feeling because it will. Does that feel good to you? If it feels good to you, well, hooray. If it doesn't feel good to you, oh, get in there for a little bit. And you know what makes it doesn't feel good? The fact that you think, because you're judging it, well, I can't do that. I'm too old. I'm too this. I don't know as many people. I don't have that degree. Thereby, you're not talking yourself out of what you want to become. Don't do that. Do this instead. Get into your imagination because you are always there anyway. What would it be like if you were the person you wanted to be? What if you were this courageous and bold and charismatic person? What if that, how would you behave? How would you speak? How would people speak to you? How would you brush your hair? How would you brush your teeth? How would you walk your dog? From a place of boldness and charisma, how would you behave? You see? Because what do we do naturally anyway? Sometimes we go and we look at all the worst case scenarios. But what if this happens? Then I would behave like this. What if that happened? Then I would do this. Do it this way now. What if I was the man or the woman I wanted to be? Oh my God, I would do this. Oh, wait, I would do that. And you see, the body begins to respond in a cascade of feelings. Don't cloud those feelings with, is it possible? The worst case scenarios that you think of, do you stop to ask if those are possible? No, you just run with them. So run with this. What would it be like? How would I go to the restaurant? How would I treat my barista at the Starbucks counter? How would my clients approach me? All of those things, begin to imagine that. Begin to see it. Now, based upon your personality, you're going to cling to one of those. Me, as I told you, I tend to flare towards the dramatic, so you know how I roll. But what's your personality? What would you do? Who would you call based upon your personality? You got that good girlfriend you would call? You got that homeboy you would call? What would you do? Begin now to experience that mentally in your imagination, the same way you do the other stuff. And when you do that, it's going to make you feel good. But listen, I don't want you to feel good because the thing is making you feel good. I want you to feel good because you've been given the keys to freedom. And you don't got to flounder around anymore trying to figure it out. You've been set free. I've been set free. No more bondage over me, right? You've been set free. That's where you rejoice. You rejoice with your freedom. The freedom to do what? To change your life at will. You don't have to remain the same anymore. That is what should cause you to rejoice on a daily basis. So now you are always in the mood. You are always in the mood to create beautiful things. But until you get there, whenever you ask yourself, ooh, what would that feel like? Feel it. And a feeling that feels good to you, what do? You want to feel it again, naturally. And you want to feel it again. And you want to feel it again and feel it again. Well, keep feeling it. Why? Because your body will respond and say, oh, this is our new way of feeling. This is our new hormonal cocktail. Sign me up. And it will continue to feel that way. Now your body will respond. And then what happens? Then the experience on the outside that you have to have now will correspond to the feeling and the thought, because we do it naturally. Trust me on this one. Not just because I say so, but because, when there's something you really don't want to do, and you say, man, I really don't want to go. And then all of a sudden something happens and you are relieved of the duty of going. Huh? You think that's a coincidence? No, you just didn't want to go. So because you didn't want to go mentally, something physically had to show up so you would not go physically. Like you get that call, that buddy wants to go out, and you're like, man, I'm not in the mood. I just don't, you didn't say that to them. You just say, I don't want to go, man. I just want to stay home. And then they call you and say, you know what? I'm so sorry to cancel. That's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. You didn't want to go. So you brought about the reason for you not to go. We do it all day, every day. So be deliberate. Be deliberate in your thoughts. I have a short posted called That's Nasty. Remember that scripture my grandfather always would say to me, do not be like a dog and return to your own vomit. Sorry, if you're eating. Which means we keep going over and over and ruminating over the things that are painful. Recognize that it's painful and then ask yourself, why am I doing this? You know why you're doing it? You've conditioned yourself to do it. It is now a habit. So don't beat yourself up. We only ever make habits. So what habit would you prefer instead? You see how you can free yourself? Recognize that the state you're in is only a habit. It's a habit. And habits, you can make them. What is a habit? Thought, word, or action that you do the same way every time. That's what it is. So if you know what a habit is, can you make one? Well, choose the thought, the behavior, the words that you want to say, and do that the same way every time. You see why you should be in a state of rejoicing? Because you're not confined to your old life anymore. That's why. That's why we, quote unquote, should rejoice. That's why when the scripture tells you to rejoice in the Lord always, I'll say it again, rejoice. That's what the scripture tells you. But why would you want to rejoice? Do you want to fake your reason? And I'm telling you today, you don't have to fake your reasoning for rejoicing. When you know that you can change your life and you know how to change it, that is your impetus always for rejoicing. It should make you want to get up and do a little dance, get down tonight. That's what it should make you want to do. Think about it. Look at what the world is requiring right now. So many of us are in a place, oh God, I can't change. I'm so stuck. Nah, you're not stuck. You're just doing the same thing the same way every time. It's just a habit. The moment you can see, how do you spot your habit? When you ask yourself, man, why I keep doing this? Why does this keep happening to me? You've just shone the light on your habit. Now you're free of it. You mean it's that easy, Angela? You're darn tootin'. It is. Of course it's that easy. The moment you see it, you freed yourself of it. Because now that you see what you've been doing the same way every time, and you know you don't want to do that anymore, you can now choose what it is you want to do the same way every time. Tell me you don't want to dance. But anyway, I digress. Y'all are getting me because I'm sweating. Like, Lord have mercy. I am sweating. But I just want you to know. Observe yourself. You know, mystical tells you to watch your step. Right? So watch you. Watch you. Don't judge you, though. Why would you judge you? You're only in a state. You're only in a state. So don't judge. Just observe. And if what you're looking at is not good enough for you, name what would be. And when you name what would be good for you, claim it. What does claim mean? To claim means to assert that something is true without providing evidence or proof, which means you're like, I don't care what you tell me. That's what I want. And that's what I have. Or in the words of the young people, I said what I said. That's your claim. You don't need the evidence or the proof. You just claim it as true. So when you say, listen, I am a new man today, I'm a new creature. Why? Because you were transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's why. Like I told you, I watch my rooster, and when the top beak grows too long, he will slide the bottom beak, he will crack the top and slide the bottom beak back and forth into that crevice until he breaks it. He has to renew it. Because it grows, but he wants the shape. Or else it grows too long and then he can't eat. So that's what they do naturally. Everything follows its nature because that is law. So you and I, our nature is to do the same thing the same way every time and to continue in that fashion. Groove is in the heart, right? We set a groove down. That's our nature. But where we get to be deliberate is to choose the groove that you want to be in. Get into the groove, right? You got to choose the groove you want to be in. And that's where your freedom is, in your choice. But now you're making the choice deliberately and not just following everybody else. Let me not preach anymore right now. I thank you all for being here today on this lovely Friday. And let me do a plug right now. Let me do a sales plug because I will. I was sitting one day and I said, how do I get this information out to people so that they can use it every day, day in and day out, and learn the principles that govern creation? And then I saw a deck of cards in my mind's eye, and I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Flashcards. But I don't want to call them flashcards. I didn't want to call them tarot because they're not tarot cards. But I called them oracle, to see. Yeah? The reason why I call them oracle because they're called the Hermetic oracle cards. If you pull tarot, what's the 9 of Pentacles? What's the 3 of Swords? It's all... You still have to interpret a spread. But when you pull a card from the deck of the Hermetic oracle cards, it doesn't matter what situation you're in. The law says everything is moving. Nothing stands still, which means your thoughts are moving. So think the thoughts that you want to move, because that's what will move you. Being deliberate. With the law, there is no nuance. With the law, there's no interpretation. It tells you you reap what you've sown. What harvest do you want to bring in? Well, then plant your attitude according to the experience you want to have. And then from that same deck, you get to practice those things. So you're never left to, well, what should I do? No, it tells you this is the way the law is. That's why those cards are there. Pre-order. Once I hit 1,000, because that is the minimum before they go to press, I do have a 3D rendering of them, of what they look like. I will make a post. Oh, thank you, Thick. She was the first one to see them. She was. So I will make a post with that image, but I'm having more of them come down from the printer, the designer, and to show you, because it's print on demand. Because where am I going to put them? I don't have room for 1,000 decks of cards. That's the minimum. So to get a deck of cards, you pre-order. The link for all of you on YouTube and Facebook is the very first line in the description. Pre-order. For fan base, it's the link on the top. A deck is $30 US. That's the deck. That includes shipping. That, because they have to ship it to me, and then I got to ship it to you. Oh, Lord have mercy. All I can say is I'm glad they're printed in the US, because it's cheaper than going overseas. So that deck of cards removes nuance. It removes interpretation. The law is straightforward. It tells you the universe is a mental creation. There's cards in there. When you pull, they'll teach you, here's how we meditate. Here's how you practice your focus. Because the whole purpose is to get ourselves in alignment deliberately, instead of wondering, why does this happen to me? Life doesn't happen to us. It happens through us. That's why I asked the question, what can I do to bring these laws to people, these principles that govern us, in a bite-sized fashion? Ask and you shall receive. That's what I did. Because every day I get up, you don't even know some of the DMs I get. What do I do about this? What do I do about that? I want you to be free enough to know what to do. But to know what to do, you have to know that we are governed by principles: mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. Mentalism, the all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. Correspondence, you reap what you sow. As within, so without, as above, so below. Vibration, nothing stands still. Everything is moving. Polarity, it moves between the left and the right. The left and the right are exactly the same. It's just a matter of vibration. Is one moving faster than the other? Hot and cold are the same. You boil water, you get steam. It is still water, but moving at a faster rate. Freeze that water, you still have water, but the molecules are now moving slower. Same in their nature. Love and hate, same. But when you move between the two poles, you see, you create a rhythm now, an ebb and a flow. A rhythm tells you when something starts and when it ends. It's a pattern, which makes it predictable. You know when it's going to start. You know when it's going to end. Rhythm, winter, spring, summer, fall. The phases of the moon, high tide, low tide, that is rhythm. This is nothing far-fetched. And after the rhythm, the thing that you are in rhythm with, in sync with, will cause you to do something. Causation. Every cause has an effect, but every effect has its cause. You can reverse engineer. If you know the cause, you can bring about the effect. But if you don't know the cause and you know the effect you would like, well, then know the effect, experience the effect in your mind, and you will bring about the cause. They're partners, they travel together. And from cause and effect, the law of gender, which is regenerate. The thing that generates is masculine because it comes up with the idea and projects it outward. Where? Into the feminine mind, which is the subconscious, which accepts. That is feminine, to accept. But it doesn't just accept. It gives it form. Those are the principles that govern all of creation. But Angela, are these principles gonna conflict with my religion? Religion is man-made. What religion has done is to tell you that there's something greater than yourself. But each religion wants to lay claim to the name of that thing. But the one thing that humanity has is the ability to recognize that there is something. You can't name it. I told you guys last night in the lecture. We think that we breathe and that we are the ones who breathe. Breathing is an effect. Digestion is an effect, but what is the cause? The body exists. The body is an effect, but what is the cause? That is what you actually are. These are all the things we learn from the Hermetic principles. Those principles supersede man, because without the principles, there is no man. So no, it has nothing to do with religion. The principles are simply observed in life. And when you observe them, you use them for your own betterment in your life. Anyway, that was a long plug, but pre-order your Hermetic Oracle cards. Again, I will do another post, but if you click on the link to pre-order, you will see the image there because I changed the image last night. Also, there is a trip coming up to Barbados, a retreat, September 2024. If you are interested, the information is being finalized. We did have one meeting already, but the information is being finalized. If you want to be a part of that retreat, slide into my DMs on whichever platform you are listening to me on and let me know. It is $900 US for the 5 days, September 24 to September 28. You have to arrange your own flight. Like I said, the location, they are finalizing everything based upon our tours and whatever else. They're finalizing everything. And yes, we will visit Rihanna's old house. Okay. We will visit Rihanna Drive. Yes. And we will also visit Neville Goddard's final resting place physically, which is right across the street from her place. So if you want to be a part of that, slide into my DMs and let me know. Yes? Whew, that was a lot, wasn't it? Anyway, let me get the bowl.
Positively, Angela, could I ask you a great question?
Yes, honey, go ahead.
Can we just cash app you the $30 if we don't want to go through the other process and just email you the address and all of that?
I'll give you the reasons why you cannot. Exactly. We Canadians don't have Cash App. We have PayPal or we have Western Union. Okay, that's Canadian rules. But the reason
I got PayPal.
Okay, but no, let me tell you the reason why it is in Patreon. If before the cards go to press and you say, you know what, Angela, I changed my mind, there's just a little refund button right next to your name, and all I have to do is hit it. That is why.
Yeah, I ain't gonna change my mind. It's all about support. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, Coach.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I just want you to know that the money people have ordered. There's 20 that have been ordered already, 980 more to go. That money is just sitting there in Patreon. When we reach 1,000 sold, like I told you guys, you can have your money back if they haven't gone to press. But once they go to press, I have to pay the printer. I can't refund the money because it's going right to the printer. It doesn't come to me. So I want to be able to refund your money without any kind of a hiccup at all. Right? I'm just being responsible that way. So I appreciate the question.
That's respect.
I truly appreciate the question. And I'm sure you weren't the only one with that question. Right? So, but like I say, I will have more detailed renderings because he's away today, but he did get me one of them yesterday. So I will make a post. But yeah, let's get the bowl. because now you can have bull and bird song. I know you can hear him. He's in my room. I have the door closed from my bedroom, and you can still hear that little squirrel. Yeah, well, he's a rooster. He's not a squirrel, but he's singing his song. So let's hit the bull. Then you hear the bull this morning. Allow yourself to simply acknowledge what you've always known. You are absolutely amazing. You are beautiful, not because I say so, but because the essence that runs within you that allows you to breathe did not put itself there randomly. It put itself there because you are worthy. But I am also worthy. Your neighbor is also worthy. Revel in the fact that you are worthy, not because you had to earn it. You just are. Here's the bowl. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Twitter, fella coochies. Girl.
I'm screaming.
I know, right? Todd and Driving Tea, thank you all for being here. And you know I love you. And everybody, I'll see you tonight. YouTube and Facebook. Oh, Dr. Accountability. Well, when you say it like that. We love you too. You know tonight, right? 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What's the lecture for tonight? The lecture for tonight is all-powerful human words. That's the Neville Goddard lecture for tonight at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Fanbase, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we'll be. Alrighty then. Twitter, you know I love you. And I will see y'all tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Much love to you, to a hitter. Twitter is closed. Let's get the water lined up because you know how we roll around here, fan base. I can't play it on YouTube because it'll be a copyright. Well, yes. So, Jeff, darling, Cyber, Asonia, the better man, I will see you all. Yes, little bit. We know. Peace out, YouTube and Facebook.